Hey, Bill O'Reilly here with another YouTube bonus. This is a very serious one tonight, and I'm going to be very methodical in how I present it to you. So I don't want any misunderstandings or anything like that. So we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk's legacy because it's under fire from the left. The progressives don't like him at all. And after Mr. Kirk was assassinated, Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York said on Fox and Friends that he kind of admired Mr. Kirk. Roll that tape.
The more I learned about him, I thought, this guy's a modern day St. Paul. He was a missionary. He's an evangelist. He's a hero. He's one, I think, that knew what Jesus meant when he said the truth will set you free. And to do it, now, I understand he was pretty blunt and he was pretty direct. He didn't try to avoid any controversy. He didn't even try to avoid confrontation. The difference is the way, the mode, the style that he did it, always with respect.
All right, so that is the Cardinal's opinion. Enter Ben Jealous. He is a former leader of the NAACP, very liberal man, okay? And he goes after Dolan. He says Charlie Kirk is a hater, a bad guy, and that Dolan is wrong to give him any praise whatsoever. So he writes a column in the Chicago Sun-Times this week, and I'm just going to give you some of the highlights of the column. Quote, when a church leader blesses cruelty as holiness, he's not preaching Paul's gospel, he's sanctifying Sodom's sin. Even the gospel's most cherished in conservative pulpits, Matthew, leaves no room for such cruelty. It's Jesus does not build walls, he breaks bread. He warns that all law and prophecy rests on the love of God and neighbor, and he defines that love in action. For I was hungry, you gave me food, I was a stranger, you welcomed me. To preach that gospel while excusing violence against the stranger is not fidelity, it's hypocrisy in holy robes, unquote. And then Jealous goes on to say that Dolan needs to apologize to everybody. Now, Jealous is basing his column, part of it anyway, on the case of Silverio Gonzalez. On September 12th of this year, Mr. Gonzalez, an undocumented migrant in Chicago and father of two, all right, who had been here for a while in this country, was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Franklin Park, Illinois. All right, he was shot and killed because the ICE personnel say that he was using his car to try to hurt them. They were attempting to stop Gonzalez, who had a battery of vehicular arrests, basically alcohol-related stuff, and they wanted to talk to him. And Gonzalez didn't want to talk to the ICE agents. So the ICE agents shot him dead. There is footage on this, camera footage, and it's unclear whether Gonzalez tried to hit anyone, but it was clear that he was not cooperating, and he was using his car to try to get away. Gonzalez is from Mexico. He worked in a restaurant, and unfortunately, when he was killed, he had just come from dropping his children off at school. So this has been a cause of the progressives who don't want any enforcement by ICE at all. Jealous uses this as a cudgel against Dolan and Charlie Kirk. But we researched that, okay? Kirk didn't address this case, all right? He didn't. So Silverio Gonzalez was not part of Kirk's resume as far as commentary is concerned. And certainly Dolan didn't know about this man. But Jealous somehow hooks him into Kirk. Now, We also found that Kirk did address the 2024 border incident. Remember, that was when Joe Biden was president in El Paso, when a large group of migrants broke through a border barrier, overrunning ICE agents. All right, you might remember this story. About 600 migrants overwhelmed ICE agents. Kirk did not like that. Here's what he said. Go.
Why do we have a military? Why do we have men with guns if we can't use them? Having a country means being able to draw a line on the ground and say, this is our sovereign territory. If you enter, we have lethal force and we're willing to use it. And you can escalate. You don't have to start with lethal force. And by the way, I don't rejoice in this. I don't want to have to use force, but these people are criminals. They're invading. They made the decision to invade. They made the decision to do a pincer movement into the United States of America. They are bringing force upon themselves.
So you can agree or disagree with Mr. Kirk's analysis, but it's certainly not unreasonable. It doesn't violate any gospel that I know of. And I'm pretty versed in the Gospels, 12 years in Catholic schools. So if a country is being sieged by foreign nationals, which is exactly what happened under Biden's open border policy, country has a right to defend itself. Now, Kirk is being fairly inflammatory here with the lethal force and all that, but it's not, I want them hurt. I want these poor people stomped. And that's what Jealous is trying to portray Kirk as, an abuser of the poor migrants. And then he hooks Dolan in by saying, well, Dolan condones that abuse that Kirk was putting out there. Homeowners, when is the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, then this is for you. Scammers are stealing titles, and your equity is a target. Criminals forge your signature. Just like that, your home title can be transferred out of your name. That's why I partnered up with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Please use my promo code BILL at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you will get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts of any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code BILL. And it's not just Jealous. This is the entire progressive movement doing this, totally taking things out of context. Totally. Now, I've been doing commentary, 30 years now? There are ways to make your point without having the point misconstrued, even though I've had that dozens of times. But I'm very, 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 very methodical in the way I make my points. Kirk is 32 years old. You can't expect him to bring that kind of discipline. So Jealous just wanted to get Dolan because he doesn't like Dolan's opinion that Kirk was a positive force in the world. That's what this is all about. And once again, I'll remind you that Ben Jealous doesn't want any enforcement of immigration law at all. The ICE agents on the ground, they're not in charge of adjudicating who's a criminal and who isn't. How could they possibly do that? Their job is to round up people who don't have credentials to be here, take them in, detain them, and then their cases are reviewed. That's how it works. So they don't know. All right. Second one is on affirmative action. This is a little more troubling. So, Charlie Kirk made a statement about affirmative action and mentioned 4 black women. Roll the tape.
if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously.
Now, I disagree with that last part. All right? You did not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken seriously. You had to steal a white person's slot. That's wrong. But that doesn't negate Charlie Kirk's entire career or him as a person. That was a mistake, him saying that. And I would debate him all day long. Here's why it was a mistake. He doesn't know about the brain processing power of the four ladies involved. They all admitted, 3 out of the 4 admitted. Ketanji Brown didn't say anything about affirmative action, the Supreme Court justice. So he was wrong. With 3 of them, Sheila Jackson Lee, Joy Reid, Michelle Obama, all said they were helped by affirmative action. Okay. But as far as assessing their intellectual capabilities, Charlie Kirk can't do that. He doesn't know them. He can observe them. Now, I think Joy Reid is a racist myself. And that means that she sees everything in skin color prism. And she doesn't really like white men. I think that's demonstrable. Sheila Jackson Lee, not as extreme as Reid, but in that zone. She's a congresswoman, former congresswoman from Texas. Michelle Obama, she treated my daughter very well, Michelle Obama. And I think Michelle Obama is a smart woman. I do. Now, she might have been helped by affirmative action. She says she was in her book. I'll believe her. But I don't think she's a dumb woman. I don't think she took any white person's slot. So I debate Kirk on that. But again, you have to look at the totality of a person, because you could cherry pick any human being and make them look like a hypocrite or a hater or anybody you can do it to. It's wrong. So Dolan titled his opinion that Charlie Kirk spread the word of Christianity, which he did, in a positive way. Jealous is entitled to his opinion that Kirk was a destructive force for him. However, Jealous did not honestly portray what really happened with Kirk. And Kirk himself, some of the things he did were good, some not so good. I think that describes every human being. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for listening to this YouTube bonus. We'll see you again soon.